Welcome to Between Over and Next with your hosts, Holli and Robert, a happily married couple who explore the space between what was, what is, and what's to come. From career changes to navigating life's uncertainties, this dynamic duo will empower you to live your happiest life at every age and stage. So, get ready because your journey with Holli and Robert starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Between Over and Next. Hi, Holli.
Hi, Robert. Today's episode is all about becoming an empty nester. That is something we are familiar with.
Yes, and something I'm looking forward to for the birds that are just outside our upstairs bathroom window, waiting for them to finish their nesting so they leave, because we can't do anything with that nest until the babies have left the nest.
Well,
Nobody will touch it.
Our babies have left the nest, and we survived it. And we're going to help you while you're on your parenting journey. Because on Between Over and Next, we explore the space between what was, what is, and what's to come. And if you are a parent, becoming an empty nester is inevitable. It is a transition. It is change. Transitions are never easy. Like every life stage, there is tremendous opportunity for personal and spiritual growth. There are benefits. There are challenges. You need to forge a new relationship with yourself and with your adult children.
Well, it's, again, it's a change in your life status. You said a second ago that everybody becomes an empty nester. I think for the most part, yes. There are some children that never leave the nest physically and a lot emotionally.
Right.
And there's a resurgence now of children returning to the nest once they've been out for a while. So there's a lot of nest changes that happen beyond, the traditional, where our trajectory was more traditional in that our children couldn't wait to move out. No, we enjoyed having them home, but we got a little bit of a taste of the empty nest when they were younger, when they went to camp. That was a little bit of a trial, like how that would feel, because we were alone when we dated, obviously, and then we were married for a year, right? Was it a year before we had Lindsay? 2 years?
2 years.
Right? Lindsay was 94. Got married in 92. You can't really even count the pregnancy as an empty nest because, all the focus goes to when you're pregnant and you're having children. So we didn't have a lot of empty nest alone time until they were really out of the house. So for us, it was a nice treat, something that we didn't dread. We looked forward to.
That is true. And mainly we say that is because we love this journey called parenting. It is an incredible transformative experience with milestones and memories. But your children mature and they venture into adulthood. And we face a new chapter in life as they face a new chapter in their lives. Let's define what exactly is the empty nest stage. It is that period when children leave home for college, work, or to start their own lives, leaving parents with an empty nest. Our nest, I feel, is still very full based on our relationship with our children. It means physically they're not living in your house.
Did you move home after college?
Well, what happened with me actually is I went to Boston University School of Management in 1980, and I decided to transfer. I went to the Fashion Institute of Technology in Manhattan that wasn't far from where I lived, but I did live at home.
So you commuted to school.
So at that point, when I came home, my brother had already left to go to college. I had come home, and then once I graduated, I moved into the city with my friend Stacy, and I lived in Manhattan for 6 years.
So how long were you home? after you would come back from
I
being
think
a-
I was home for 2 years.
No, because I came home after college briefly. I think also for probably about 2 years, I would say.
And then you moved to Bayonne and you lived on
Right.
your own.
Correct.
Becoming an empty nester is a significant turning point that evokes many emotions. And I will tell you, I never really considered my parents' emotions. And I don't think adult children consider their parents' emotions going through the process because they're living their lives.
How do you think your leaving home affected your parents? Was it impactful on them, you think? I have to ask my parents. I don't think we ever discussed whether my parents were sad or missed us.
So the letting go process is fundamental to parenting in general. Even when they're going to kindergarten for the first time, there's a letting go. And
Like, oh my gosh, they're going to be gone for 3 hours.
well, sometimes the kids are crying, but very often the parents are crying. But then when they turn 18, and right now we're in a time of lots of graduations, of high school and college graduations, and that is a lot of moving in and moving out, with kids. But parents feel the impact of every step of their children's growing up process. We're growing up too. But we have been every step of the way as they are approaching 18. And our daughter graduated high school in 2012 and started her journey. So when you ask me about me, coming home and when I left, and by the way, I want to note, and I think this is for both of us, we both, once we left, we never went back home.
Once we
Once
after
we were
that
left, once
stint-
you moved to Bayonne and I moved to Manhattan,
no,
we
no.
never moved home again until we met each other and moved in with each other.
But our parents always were local for the most part, up until later life when your parents moved to Florida. We were within driving distance in an hour or so.
As
to
we
see our
are with
parents.
our children now.
Right.
Whether you consider yourself midlife or growing older,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of another mindset that parents may have as they're watching their children grow because they're also going through their own self-realizations while that's happening.
I've said this before. I don't remember my 10th birthday, but I remember my 30th birthday. So I think we have more vivid memories of what our children are going through college and beyond, because at least for me, I have vivid memories for the most part of college of those things, of those milestones. I remember turning 21. I don't remember turning 8. Lindsay's 30. I remember turning 30. It becomes exponentially more impactful as we remember the milestones our children are now going through in their own lives.
I do want to ask our parents how they felt. And I think about that being a parent now of young adults. This episode is mostly to help guide you through the adjustment of becoming an empty nester and empowering you with this amazing chapter ahead, because we do want you to be happy and fulfilled at every age and stage. And this is a very important one because the challenges are there for many families, especially parents that may only have one child. It could also be more challenging for depending which parent is maybe home more and in the day-to-day routine of their children, it may impact them more than the other parent. We co-parented from day one, which is not typical, Robert. But getting back to our experience with our children, Lindsay graduated high school in 2012, and it was a different experience because she also went to college to Montclair State University, not far from home. And then Alex went to Connecticut. So now both of the kids are out of the house. Do you remember how you felt?
Yeah, it felt good. It felt good because we were coming off, which you didn't mention, was that we had Alex for 2 years as an only child.
Which
situation.
So did our parents. By the way, I wasn't thinking about that time at all because I was, again, going to college and living my life.
Right, because that was the first time, really, that we had Alex home alone
Well,
for an extended period
Robert,
of time.
it started with Lindsay, which is a whole different 2 years. We were with her alone for the first 2 years of her life until Alex came.
Yes,
Then
but she was a baby.
the next 18 years, we're with
It was
both
together,
of them.
right.
And then Lindsay goes to college
Party
and
of
we're with,
four.
which, both of our parents also experienced the same thing. Your sister, my brother were home. And I didn't think about those 2 years at all, but I did, like you just said, with Alex.
Going to restaurants and mistakenly asking for a table of 4, not realizing that we're only a table of 3. It was nice because we could, I know you don't like the word guilt, but without feeling bad, giving one child all the attention, we gave him all the attention because he was the one that was home and he got to be with us and go places.
Lindsay came home for
after,
a year.
Right, during her master's
During
program.
her master's degree, which was continued at Montclair State. Alex was in Connecticut, so we didn't
had
have an
her as a young
empty nest
adult.
yet, right?
Right.
But then Lindsay then met Elliot and moved out, moved in
right.
with him.
And
then
Alex moved
Alex
to
came
Connecticut.
home,
Right, we went through COVID.
right? And he was home, and then he moved out again.
Right.
And I don't think that's so unusual.
So it really wasn't
that happens.
until 2021, really, that we were fully empty nesters. And certainly here, moving here, the kids have never lived here with us.
Right.
But it really wasn't until about 2021 that we were fully empty nesters where we were there in Livingston.
So every parent's experience is unique when their children leave home. And much of the adjustment depends on the quality of your relationship with yourself and with your children. And that means throughout all of the parenting years, not just all of a sudden waking up and realizing, oh my goodness, they're gone. There's tremendous opportunity to embrace the empty nest stage. So let's talk about a few of the benefits, because I think we are a true example of the benefits of being empty nesters. For many partners and marriages, it is an opportunity to reconnect with your spouse and to rediscover shared interests or activities. We have always been present in our relationship, having a healthy, strong, caring, loving marriage. While our children, we encourage them to be independent and to have their own interests and activities. There is a lot of tending to kids as they're growing up, and it's easy to get wrapped up in that. But strengthening your relationship and having a renewed focus is a real important benefit of having that extra time and energy to dedicate and devote to your marriage is a good thing.
If you have a good and strong marriage. There are couples that are not looking forward to being alone.
Because they really weren't happy in their relationship.
They weren't happy. You hear it a million times. We stayed together for the kids. So either they grow apart or they decide to split. But we were fortunate in that we were looking forward to the extra time together. I think for me, I'm the worrier. So when your kids are out of the house, that we don't have to worry if Lindsay or Alex are going to have dinner. They're on their own. Well, we just have to worry about us. So we don't have to worry about being home at a certain time or all of that, right? But if all your life, if everything you've done, if your whole focus has been your children and doting on them and taking care of them, and now suddenly it's like losing a job in a sense. You don't have those responsibilities anymore. Now you have this extra time. It's either going to be filled with constructive, good, positive things, or it's going to be amplifying the, oh my gosh, I gotta sit on the couch with this guy, and I don't have the kids to distract me, to take them to baseball practice and cheerleading or whatever. Now it's just us.
Parents, for the most part, have been in control, right, of their well-being until they leave the nest. And the worry part is all those concerns.
They're growing up, they're moving on, and hopefully you've prepared them to take care of their responsibilities. And listen, it doesn't stop, right? Alex was leaving to go on his trip just recently that was going to take him over the first of the month. And like a father, I said to Alex, you're making sure you're taking care of your rent check
we have really good communication with our kids. So it's important to have a healthy transition for parents and children. Let it be one of a supportive relationship rather than a controlling one.
Right. And there's certain glimpses that you get of your children's actions demonstrating that you taught them well. And I'm not going to go into detail now, but when Alex was just talking about his trip and some of the unexpected things that happened and how they handled it, there was some sense that some of the things that Alex did and how he behaved and how he took care of things, I think was absolutely a reflection on how we brought him up to be and act and do.
I agree.
Without a doubt.
I
Whether
agree.
he realizes it or
But
not.
we are really not FOMO people, so we don't really miss being a part of our children's daily lives. And we don't have to have like this constant companionship that a lot of parents want with their children. I feel our companionship is paramount. There's a dynamic. There's a spousal dynamic and there's a family dynamic. And you need to respect and honor both. We know what's going on with our kids. That's the other thing. There are a lot of parents that are not as connected
Right.
to
and,
their
and
kids.
I think if to the people who are, let's say, under 35 that are listening to this, if you think your parents don't want to hear from you, you're wrong. They do. So
I think at every age.
At every age, but I think especially when you're younger, because you haven't kind of experienced some of the life changes and things that might change the way you feel, making that contact with your parents is important as you start to get older, as you start to become distracted by career and
Relationships.
loves of your life and their families and all of that. You have to start thinking about those things that you certainly were not thinking about before. Always err on the side of contacting your parents a little bit too much rather than not enough, because they'll tell you when it's too much. And we have done that. We've said to our kids, this is fabulous. We had a fantastic time tonight. Good night.
It is about having a healthy, balanced relationship, in every way. It's really important to have a relationship with yourself. It is such an exciting time as we are experiencing for the past 10 years since they're gone. Even though you're saying it's only a few years since they're both really gone, we've been experiencing large amounts of time that they weren't here. It's a time to learn, to grow, to pursue personal goals. Our last episode was all about exploring your next big thing. We have the tools and the resources and the guidance. We can be there for you. We want you to embrace self-discovery, new adventures, take up new hobbies, travel, continuing education, start a business, engage in creative projects. Seek those opportunities. Join clubs, volunteer, be a mentor. Keep yourself active mentally, physically, spiritually. It matters. So there is something called empty nest syndrome, Robert. And it just refers to the grief that many parents feel when their children move out of the home. And it is very often manifested in anxiety and depression, sometimes even a sense of purposelessness, because so much is wrapped around everything about their kids. That social isolation is something you need to identify and be aware of right away. If there's any lack of purpose because you've been so highly involved in your children's activities and now that the kids aren't around and the house feels very empty, you need to either seek professional help or you need to really talk it through with your spouse or with friends and other parents because they're going through the same thing you are.
Well, listen, becoming an empty nester, the bottom line, because this is why we're talking about this, is a life pivot that,
Right.
not going to say all of us, many of us, most of us who have children will experience. And, I think life is designed to help us prepare for that. We go from preschool for a couple of hours a day to kindergarten, which may be a half a day, to elementary school where they invite you in all the time to meet the teachers and to sit in the classroom. And then you get to middle school and high school and those interactions are gone. So little by little, we're getting to have a little bit more separation in there and preparing us for when they go maybe to summer camp or to college. And that trajectory prepares us as parents to become empty nesters. And you can either embrace that as a positive thing, as your next stage of your life, your next chapter, your next big thing, much in the way when you retire and you now have your week to yourself. What do you do?
So
how do you fill the space?
Everything you're saying means you need to find meaning outside of parenting. That is vital. Everything that you know about yourself, what makes you happy and fulfilled, it isn't about your children leaving home. Whatever it is has always been there. You need to look beneath the surface. You need to know your identity. You need to know who you are all along the way, and not all of a sudden wake up and realize that that was your only purpose. Relationships change, right? That happens. That happens throughout life, all of us as we're getting older. You could be more independent or more dependent. So sometimes the letting go can be hard because you feel like that trusting that all will be well muscle. Is it going to be stronger or weaker?
Well, I think the other factor is that as we come to the realization that our children are growing up and moving on, only amplifies our own view of ourselves and the aging process. And that the fact that, well, we're getting older too, if they're getting older. And I think that, one of the ways that you can keep feeling young is to remain around young people. You never want to be idle. You never want to just waste away. You never want to kill time.
And you don't want to have regret. Some parents really feel the time is running out. Did they influence their children the way they hoped?
Well, it's never too late. We've all failed to some extent for whatever reason.
These are the questions parents ask themselves. And this is part of the empty nest experience. Did I prepare them enough? Did I spend enough time with them? Did I teach them all that I hoped? Did I model effectively? Some parents have guilt. Some parents have regrets. You reflect back on the kind of time you wish you had. And this is why we're talking about this now, because no matter where your children are, whether they are 10 or 13 or 18 or 25, you're absolutely right. We all didn't do it 100% right. We're all growing and changing and transitioning. And many parents do put a lot of pressure on themselves to be the perfect parent.
It's the only job where there's no manual goes along with how to do the job. Some of it is instinct, but most of it is we end up parenting because we learn to parent from how we were parented and from how the people around you are parented. That's, you learn by watching, okay? And that's how it's done. There are a lot of people that say, I'm never going to do that when I have kids. I'm never going to let my kids do that. Well, you don't know until you're presented with that situation. But I think that you've done a good job, not in those big, giant moments that jump out at you like, oh, we did the right thing. It's those little moments, it's those little glimpses of things that they did the right thing. They made the right move. They said the right thing. They acted in the right way because of what we did as parents.
So here's some advice for the transition. We want to give you a few tips if you're experiencing feelings of loss due to the empty nest syndrome. So
have more kids.
No. Be more accepting of that is inevitably part of what's ahead. It's going to happen. and stay in touch. Continue to be close with your children after they've left home, right? There are no excuses. There's the phone. You could call, you could email, you could text, you could have a video chat. And you, of course, the best thing of all is be together in person. Create the fun and the friendship as they get older. Be parents first. That is our advice always. Be parents first. Seek support if you need it. Lean on loved ones for that support. Share your feelings. You need to allow yourself to feel and reflect. It is so important. Savor the wonderful memories. Appreciate all of them. Give yourself permission to know your feelings are okay and everything will be okay if you believe it to be so. Just see this as a continuation, not an ending. A fresh chapter mindset. Inject excitement into your life. Invest in your relationships always with your friends, your family, your colleagues. There's so much out there to continue with and without your children. Importantly, we want you to have the best possible relationship with your kids. It's going to change and evolve like everything in life does. So you decide how close you want to be. What does that look like? Have a family meeting. What does family look like to you? What matters most to you? How open and vulnerable do you want to be with each other? It's a negotiation.
I think the one key to success in this department is understanding that there's not anyone on the planet who can read minds. So if you're not open and communicative, don't wonder why you don't have a great relationship or you don't see someone or you don't spend enough time. Because if you haven't expressed that, if you haven't initiated that, if you haven't done your best to make sure that happens, if you haven't sacrificed sitting in a car on a holiday weekend because it's important for you to be at that family barbecue or that family dinner, even though traffic sucks on the holidays, but you do it anyway because you know that once you're there and once family's together, that it's a good thing. And then that couple of extra hours or whatever it amounts to over the course of the trip back and forth, you don't even think about. But making that effort, sacrificing those little things to be together, to spend some time, makes a big difference.
I remember reading in Glamour magazine many years ago about private time, couple time, and family time. All three of them matter individually.
Yes, and I think if you feed all of those, then none of them will feel deprived. So there won't be an issue.
Correct.
Right? It's only when there's an imbalance that there becomes a problem, that something tips over. If there's balance, like our friend Oleg, who you'll meet in an upcoming episode, we said it yesterday, homeostasis, right? Being in balance. We talk about that, our physical body being in homeostasis, in balance, so that everything works okay, everything heals itself the way it's supposed to. But we also have to achieve mental homeostasis as well.
Empty nesting is more of a pivot than a final stop. It's a process of shifting one's energy and focus to creating a new stage in life. The end of what has been must be marked and felt, but the way to move forward is to embrace what this means for your own well-being and self-actualization, separate from your children. So today we discussed some pros and cons of the empty nest stage, and we shared some strategies for making the most of it. Importantly, it's what Robert just said. Find balance and embrace this new phase of life, because having an empty nest gives parents a new opportunity to reconnect with each other, to improve the quality of their marriage, and to rekindle interests with newfound time. So enjoy all the fruits of the labor that you've enjoyed as a parent and appreciate it. Change is hard and scary, Robert, but it is an opening for growth and happiness and greater fulfillment. Trust the process. Always remember that investing in your individual fulfillment will not only bring you more freedom and joy, but also serve as a model for your children. If you enjoyed this episode, we hope you'll share your stories and share it with other empty nesters. Remember, no matter where you are in your empty nest journey, there's a community and resources out there, including us, that can help you navigate this transformative stage with confidence and optimism. Join us next time on Between Over and Next as we continue to explore life's transitions together.
Thanks for tuning in to Between Over and Next. We hope you enjoyed this episode and found it meaningful and insightful.
If you value it to be worthwhile, please share it with your friends and family.
We would really appreciate it if you could take a moment to write a review for us. Your feedback will help us continue to create content that resonates with you.
And don't forget, in the show notes, you can find all the relevant links mentioned in this episode, from accessing free downloads to visiting our website and more.
If you have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. Simply send us an email. Our email address is hello@hollyandrobert.com. We're always excited to connect with our listeners.
So until next time, thank you again for joining us on Between Over and Next.
Thank you for listening to Between Over and Next, the podcast that navigates the twists and turns of life with courage, laughter, and a whole lot of inspiration. Tune in every Tuesday to hang out with Holli and Robert on your favorite podcast platform. Visit hollyandrobert.com and follow them on social media to ignite your passion and fuel your dreams.